Welcome to this Monday Mindful Flow. Let's take a moment to settle into a comfortable seat, whatever that means for your body today. So it could be you're in a chair, it could be you're on the ground, you might have your legs crossed, you might have your legs stretched out, just doing what makes sense for you. And taking a few mindful breaths as you really start to settle into your seat. And becoming aware of the ground underneath you, the space in which you are tuning in for practice, and offering up a little bit of gratitude towards yourself for those vital steps of having unrolled your mat, of choosing to tune in and do practice today. Sometimes that's the biggest feat, is just creating that space and getting yourself there. So let's just pause and honor that for a moment. Maybe offer a nice clearing breath here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And start to tap into this sense of creating length in your body. Feeling that ground underneath you, however you're connected, through sits bones, through feet, through various other contact points. And we then come to imagine a little tiny string tied to the crown of our head, and it's like someone's just picking us up by that string. So we sit up a little bit taller, invite a little bit more space, and really just tune your awareness inwards, feeling into all of these little subtle shifts as you enter into a more dignified seat. And can you be in this slightly changed position with breath and ease? So although we shift it around, it doesn't mean that we have to apply tension and a great deal of holding to maintain this. There's still an air of softness. So it's this delicate balance between yin and yang, too much effort, not enough. And can you offer a few deeper breaths here? And a little bit of inspiration to set us into this new week. Words from Mark Nepo: the surface and the deep. When under, remember the surface. When on the surface, remember the deep. When our days are turbulent and troubled, our challenge is to remember that the wave is not the sea. Though it pounds us, the pounding will pass. Though it tosses us about, the tossing will pass, if we don't fight it. Often our fear misleads us to stay in close to shore when the safest place is in the deep, if we can get there. Any swimmer knows, stay too close to the shore and you will be battered by the surf and the undertow. We must swim out past the breakers if we are to know the hammock of the deep. Stay on land or make it into the deep. It is the in-between that kills. So let's just see if we can apply a little bit of that wisdom to our practice, to test the edges, to know when we're in a safe place, maybe on shore, and maybe to explore a possibility of testing limits as you reach for the deep or the deeper parts of your practice. Always remembering to stay embodied, to listen, and that always open permission to do or not do any part of practice. We'll invite the hands to join at the heart center, thumbs tipping back and in towards the breastbone, feeling into the beating of your heart underneath your hands, the breath that rises and falls. And a little bit of an offering of sound or vibration. So I'll be chanting the sound of Om 3 times. You may choose to join me and raise your voice, or you may choose to simply hum. Let's create that little bit of noise, that little bit of vibration to just open things up a little bit here. And take a clearing breath in and out. Just sound. And with that sound fading, allow the hands to come away from the heart and start to shift around, maybe entering into some Sufi circles. Maybe your body would prefer to just glide side to side. So figuring out what opening movement your body is willing to entertain right now. The next time that you're coming to a taller seat, pause there. And then change your circles, or maybe you were gliding and you just enter back into the movement. And the next time that you're finding your way back towards center, pause there. Return to that regal seat. Take a beautiful deep breath in here. Let it go with sound. We'll drop the arms off to the side, palms facing forward, and just know that you can adjust your seat at any point in time. With our next inhalation, we'll sweep the arms up wherever they're willing to reach. And then exhale, drop them down to the side. So seated sun breaths. Inhale, scooping up. Exhale, release down. Not rushing the process, just transitioning between these two movements according to your rhythm of breath today. We'll do 2 more through center, and then we'll let this evolve into a twist. And from here, we'll inhale, scoop the arms up and forward. Exhaling, left hand to the right knee, right hand behind you. And let's just hold here for this first one. Applying those beautiful deep breaths here, just feeling your body waking into this, keeping the spine tall. Your next inhalation, we unwind, sweep the arms up overhead, and then we'll exhale and twist off to the left. Again, staying here for a few rounds of breath, anchoring yourself into a nice tall seat, and just letting the body acclimate into this lovely opening twist. Your next inhale, sweeping up and overhead. And now we come into this breath and movement. Exhale, twist right all the way to emptiness, squeeze. Maybe you get a bit deeper in, and then inhale, unwind. Exhale, twist left. And we'll just keep going back and forth here. One more time to each side. So you end twisting off to your left side. And then just let yourself release. Walk the hands a little bit further behind you. So we're starting to stretch open through the chest and the shoulders. And if it feels okay to drop the right ear off towards the right shoulder, let yourself do so. Just be mindful of any little points of resistance. Just observe, see if you can relax over a few breaths. Invite the chin down towards the chest, a little bit of a release here. And then inviting that left ear off towards the left shoulder. Again, just being mindful of those little points of resistance. Observing and then seeing if you can soften into any of those places. We'll let that go. Chin drops towards the chest. Let the arms just find a comfortable place to hang out for a few moments. And gently releasing. Let's bring our bodies around to tabletop. We've been seated for a fair piece, so this is probably a welcome transition. And as you're getting there, if your knees are tender, please do pad them up with your blanket or flipping the mat so you've got some extra cushioning. Fanning out nice and wide through the fingers, and we'll lift the heel of the left hand up. So we're pushing into the fingers, stretching through the palm of the hand. And then you'll slowly release and do the same thing on the right side. Lift the heel of the hand, keep the fingers firmly pushing towards the earth, and release. Let's turn the fingers out slightly to the side. So it's like the thumbs are pointing forward and your fingers are reaching towards the edge or off the edge of your mat. And we're going to glide here, side to side in the shoulders and in the rest of the body. Paying extra close attention to your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders as we do this little glide motion. And then we'll see about maybe turning the fingers so they're pointing directly off the edge of the mat. And again, come into this sliding motion. And you can continue working with little increments of this external rotation. So continuing to fan the fingers back if you can. You might get to a point where the fingers point directly back towards the knees. So just working with what is accessible in your body. And then we'll gradually start to make our way back to what we know is our neutral of tabletop, with the fingers pointing forward, knees more or less underneath the hips. And one more little experiment with the arms here, turning the fingers in to face one another, pointing across the center of your mat, and exploring that gliding motion again. And we'll release from there. Let the hands come back to their normal spot. And let's turn the back of the left hand down to the mat. So we're gapping into the top of the wrist rather than the underside. Just balancing everything out. Release the left hand, come to do the same thing on the right side. And we'll release from there. Tuck the toes underneath. And see about maybe inviting your hips back towards your heels a little bit. And that might be a little too sensational in your body today, and you just stay with the toes tucked and breathe and manage from there. But if it feels okay to sit back a little bit, try that on for size. And coming out of that, if you had sat the hips back, walk the hands a little bit further forward. We'll transition up towards standing. So keeping those toes tucked. If it's okay for you to go into a downward facing dog, you'll lift the hips high, hands and feet grounding you. And if down dog is not in your wheelhouse today, just taking your time as you lovingly invite yourself up towards standing. And for those that might have gone into a down dog, you could pedal it out a bit and then start to walk your way up towards standing. The idea is to all meet one another in our Tadasana, our mountain pose here. And let's just start to roll through the shoulders a few times in both directions once you get up to your standing. You can just shake those arms out. And we'll step a little bit wider here, not super crazy wide, just enough that you can feel free to do a bit of a spinning motion. And that's exactly where we're going to go, is just start to do these little rotations, like ringing out through your spine and really letting the hands come around and tap the body. So we're not trying to prevent that contact. In fact, we're encouraging it where we can find it. Slow, steady breath here. And we'll start to slow this spinning motion down until you come back to center. Close your eyes, pause, and feel without shaking and wiggling anything out. What is it that you are aware of? There might be an experience of tingling or hot and cold, maybe a little bit of a floatiness or a heaviness. Everyone reacts just a little bit differently. Everyone's energetic body responds a little bit differently. So what are you witnessing in your practice right now? we'll step those feet a little bit closer together underneath us. Soften the feet, soften the knees. And let's just do, let's do 6 body rolls. So our body rolls today, we inhale, let the arms float up to wherever they're content to reach. And then we exhale, begin to hinge out of the hips, let the hands float down towards the earth. And then we inhale, uncurl, and go right back to reaching up. Exhale, gently float. Fold again. 4 more to go at your own pace, moving at your own discretion. And whenever you're done your 6 body rolls, just straightening yourself back up to that Tadasana. Turn the palms forward. Almost exaggerate the bend in your knees and just let yourself feel here. And we'll come to invite the hands to join at the heart center. We'll go through 3 rounds of a half salutation. Your next inhalation, sun breath, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale to our half lift, flat back. And exhale, fold. Reverse your dive, rise with the inhale. Exhale, hands land at the heart. Inhale, sun breath. Exhale, swan dive. Come halfway up and fold. Reverse your dive, rise to heart. Last one. Pausing with the hands at the heart, close your eyes, notice your breath, the lingering sensations in your body. And then we'll release the hands away from the heart. So we'll gather up our belt or strap, whatever it is that you might be using today, TheraBand. My strap's quite long, so I have to fold mine in half. Sometimes I actually have to fold it even more. So getting your strap to a length where you can hold it shoulder width, just in front of you, and create some tension. So you're pulling through those hands, pardon me, and just feeling those shoulders wake up. So hopefully you're getting a sensation through the scalenes, the traps, those big muscles at the top of your shoulders, soft in your knees. And then play with range of motion here, slowly lifting and slowly lowering. Give the tension part a break at the bottom, let the arms relax, and then we'll do that 2 more times, that little elevator type movement. Tension, pulling the strap, lifting up wherever your arms will take you at this particular vantage point, and coming down. I'll do that 1 more time. So when you're ready, bring that tension back in and Lift. Lower. And we'll let that go. Just hold the strap in one hand, allow the arms to dangle. So always, always, always listening to your body, those tricky shoulders. If you'd like, you could step a little bit wider here. We're going to open the strap up a little bit more. Take this slow. So I've got my hands fairly wide here. And we'll gradually come up. So the tension isn't quite as extreme as what we were just doing, just enough that you keep the belt or the strap taut, and you're just exploring where this range of motion goes for you. For some, it might be we're reaching ahead and that's where we hit a natural stopping point. For others, you might be able to reach behind a little bit. And just taking your time, offering up a lot of breath as you go through this little lift and lower. The arms relax at the bottom of the movement. And when you're ready, you inhale, reach up. And exhale, slowly come down. And we'll just mindfully do this a couple more times. Being fully present, working with what is in your experience. So are you staying on ground, or are you letting yourself go out into the deep to really nudge up against some edges of sensation? Not pain, just curious and interesting. And we'll let everything relax. Let's just shake out the legs or pick up one foot and just kind of roll through the ankle. Let's take some of the pressure and what might have been accidental gripping. Sometimes we start gripping the ground with our toes and we don't even realize it. So let's just give those legs a bit of a break. All right, still with our strap. So we're going to do a lateral move. If you have the ability to take the left wrist over your head and keep the right arm extended down to your side, that's where you're going. It might be that it's more in front of the body, but the idea is that we're going to be reaching and pulling. So what works for you? Stay grounded, soften in those feet and knees. Lots of breath. And then we'll come out of that, let the arms relax. Notice the difference left to right. And then we'll switch it up. So come the other way. Taking a moment to figure out what your range of motion is on this side. And then exploring that reach. Deep into one waist, expanding on the other. Inhaling, coming back up. Release the strap. Pause, breathe, and feel. So you may wish to shorten the length of your strap or belt here. We're going to bring it in behind the body, and you're holding the strap right at the edge of your hips. So not crazy tight where it feels like you're cranking those shoulders a little too much. So just about the edge of your sits bones, your hips here. Soft in the knees. With an exhale, we're going to come about halfway down. So a flat back. And see about maybe picking up the strap from your backside. It might be a very subtle motion, or maybe you feel like you've got a lot of range here. So just listening, and you could lift and then tap back down. And if it's okay for you to fold all the way down and in, let the body go there. Otherwise, you could retreat and come back to standing. If you happen to have folded deeper, bend into your knees and use that energy to help you come back up to standing. And we take a breath here. Feel a few deeper breaths if you're experiencing a bit of a woozy spell, a blood pressure shift. And then we'll release those hands from behind the body. Step near the top of your mat if you're not already there. Still strap as part of our exploration and practice today. Set the weight into your right foot. So you're getting ready to step back with that left one. And whenever you're ready, take that left foot, step it back. It's not a huge step. And you want to make sure you're finding balance here. So you may need to widen the gap between your feet. A light grip of the strap in front of our body here. Bend into the right knee, just as far as you can go. So it might be very subtle. Maybe you're right at that point, you're aligning knee over top of ankle. And you may need to turn your left foot out slightly to feel stable here in this high lunge or warrior one setup. Squeeze into the glutes and all the big muscles in that left leg. And when you're ready, explore that tension and lifting with your strap again. Just wherever you end up, gaze is forward, chest is tall. And gently release, straighten the leg, bring the strap down, invite the strap behind your body. Again, that wider grip towards the edge of your hips. We bend into the right knee again, wherever it makes sense, and explore forward fold, letting the torso lean towards the thigh, and maybe the hands are pulling away from the body with that strap. Exhale, pull yourself up, push away from the ground, lift the left heel, step to the top of the mat, pause, invite the strap to come back in front of you as you're integrating here. Shifting the weight into that left foot, getting light on the right side. And when you're ready, step back with your right foot. And we're looking for that balanced, nice wide stance so we're not tipping over here all wobbly. Begin by exploring that bending into the left knee, finding your ground there. Hips facing forward, chest facing forward. Grabbing hold of our strap. It's in the front of the body here, and inhaling, lifting up wherever your range of motion is. Beautiful deep breaths here. And gently release, the strap comes down, the knee straightens, and we invite the belt behind us now. Still that wide grip to the edge of the hips. Enter back into your lunge or warrior one position, engaging all the big muscles in that right leg for stability. And then we explore the forward fold with the possibility of that strap coming away from the back as you bow in. And exhale, push away from the ground, pull the body up towards standing. Straighten that front leg and push off. Step forward. You can come to set your strap aside. We are done with that for practice today. Could roll out through the shoulders. Maybe it's little movements. Maybe you feel like doing bigger arm circles. What do you need right now? Make sure you go in both directions, no matter which approach you're taking. And then let it go. Pausing into your Tadasana, just feeling, maybe reminding yourself to relax your feet and knees. Notice what's going on in your chest and your shoulders. We've done a lot of work to try and free up some space there. We'll invite ourselves down to the mat. We'll use a bit of flow to get there. Inhaling, sun breath. Exhale, dive. Inhale, halfway up. And exhale, fold. Bend into the knees, get your hands to the mat, step your way back through a downward facing dog if it feels okay, or just coming straight to a tabletop. Pausing. Eventually, we all end up on the ground in all fours, and we'll offer 3 cycles of cow and cat here before we come to sitting. Inhale, belly low, crown and tail float, and maybe you're just letting your body kind of wiggle around here. Exhale, a rounding into a cat pose. 2 more. And whenever you're ready, inviting the body down into a butterfly pose for just a moment, putting blanket or cushion underneath your knees here, or your hips, pardon me, if you need to. And we'll do just a little bit of a bouncing of the legs for a moment. And we'll let that little bit of bouncing and wiggling settle. Let's take the right hand over to the left ankle or shin and allow the body to begin to lean heavily off to the right. So hopefully you start to feel a stretch through that quadratus lumborum, that low back and hip space. And you have the option here to either tuck the left hand into the low back and just roll open here, or maybe you take that left arm and reach it off to the right and use gravity to help you get even deeper into the side body. Just a few breaths here. And then we'll come up and out, switch things around so that left hand finds the right ankle or shin, and we begin by leaning heavily off to the left, finding that sensation in the low back and hip if possible. And then we have the option, hand to the low back and just opening into the space this way, or maybe the right arm reaches heavy off to the left. And we'll come out. Let's bring our bodies over onto our bellies on the mat. Letting your hips wiggle around a little bit here. And then we'll firmly push the tops of our feet into the ground. So you're waking up those legs and hips. Kind of securing the low back. And we'll stack hands to make a pillow for the forehead, gently lowering down. Just taking a moment to breathe here. We're going to do a few little lifting moves just to strengthen the core. Listening to your body as we go through this. Inhale, lift the head, the chest away from the mat, and then exhale, lower down. So your lift may be very subtle or it might be quite deep. Inhale, lift, and exhale, lower. Do two more. Let the body relax. And from here, we'll bring our hands underneath our shoulders, invite the body through to some form of child's pose, just stretching out into the low back where we were just compressing. Nice deep breaths here. And then we'll bring ourselves over onto our backs on the mat. If you happen to have a block, you could bring that with you. If you don't, that's okay too. And if you know you like to have a blanket or cushion for Shavasana, then just making sure that's accessible as well. So on our backs, feet are to the ground, knees are pointing up towards the sky. We walk the heels in as close towards the buttocks as possible. And the arms are along the side of the body. Just take a few deeper cycles of breath here as your body lands into its supine position. So we just did those back extensions to help strengthen part of the core system. And now we're going to do a couple of little lateral reaches. So it works the obliques, the side body. So whenever you're ready, exhaling, reaching one hand towards a heel. So you're crunching into that side. And then you'll inhale, come to center. Exhale, stretch and reach to the other side, reaching for the heel. And come back to center. And you'll just do this little kind of sidewinder movement, maybe 5 or 6 times to each side. Whenever you feel you've had enough of this, you return to your center, your neutral spine, and pause. Feel into those fiery little muscles. And then we'll draw the knees towards the chest and come to do a little bit of rocking side to side. And let's just do a little spinal twist here. So the next time the legs come off to the left, brace them down with the left hand. Allow the right arm to open out to the side. Keep the head neutral so it's facing up today. 3 nice, deep releasing breaths here. After your third breath, the one that follows, use the contraction to bring your legs back to center. Rock a little bit more. And then we'll twist off to the right. Knees cascading off to that side. Right hand holding them down. Left arm opening away, and 3 generous breaths here. And exhale carries you back to center. Maybe you entertain a bit more rocking. And then we invite the feet back to the ground. So you could use block or maybe a folded up blanket or cushion for this next little piece. We're just tractioning out the head and the neck. So we bring the block on its lowest edge underneath the skull. And the long edge of the block, if that's what you're using, is right at the occiput. So those 2 little fleshy spots at the very base of your skull. And no matter what you're placing under your head, let the chin drop deeper towards the chest, inviting length into your cervical vertebrae. And let your body get heavy here. Breath can gradually return to natural rhythms. If you happen to be using a block at this point and you want to try massaging out the base of the skull, you gently roll your head from one side to the other. And letting any movement that you were entertaining gradually settle into stillness. And we'll gently remove whatever support may have been underneath the head. Set it aside. Take a moment to integrate once your head returns to the ground. And as you're here, making the inquiry of yourself, are there any other movements you feel you need before you settle into your Shavasana pose? If your body's craving a few last movements, then just letting yourself go there. Eventually gathering up any props that you might need for your Shavasana and settling into any form of a resting pose that would work for you today. So that could be laying on your belly. Could be resting fully stretched out on your back. It might even be side lying. So what is it that you need? And allow yourself to go there without hesitation. Sinking in. Releasing any lingering efforts of breath and body. Just finding stillness for a little while. Can you feel yourself just floating along? Maybe you've drifted out to sea and you're in that place of the deep beyond the undertow. Maybe you're contentedly resting on land. Breathe and allow into these precious moments. And let that be enough. Sounds of the bells bringing your awareness back to you. Let yourself take a very intentional breath here, feeling the inhale as it floods into all parts of your body, and the exhale as it brings kind and generous release. And from that awareness, letting yourself just begin to wiggle and move around, gradually bringing some life back to your body. And eventually finding your way back towards sitting. And when you return to that dignified seat of yours, invite your hands to find home at heart. Thumbs anchoring back and in towards our breastbone, honoring that place of love, truth, kindness, and compassion that resides within all of us. We offer a single om or a humming to close practice today. Clearing breath in and out. Find your sound. I thank you for your practice. Namaste.